Namaste. It's the Spiritual Daywalker with your tarot card reading for this full moon phase. And this full moon is going to be in Aries, so it gives us a good fiery push. And Scorpio, you're going to feel that energy, right? You're going to stand up for yourself in a way that is like admitting something, right? Because it is conjunct Chiron. Chiron is the planet that deals with the wounds we carry all our life, the things that trigger us or like make us feel embarrassed or whatever, right? And with that Aries energy, we're able to put that forward, to admit to some things that have been bothering us and overcoming it in the process. So probably going to hit you by surprise where you usually shut off your emotions, because you can switch them on and off, right? You're the water sign that goes deep and then ask the question, yeah, but what good does it do, right? And you can shut them off and on and on and off as you want it. This time you're not going to want to shut them off. This time you're going to put them out there and feel good about being so deep and like being able to feel those kind of emotions, to have those kind of self-realizations. That being said, it is a general reading, so if the message doesn't resonate with you, feel free to drop the message. If it does resonate with you, drop a comment, like, and subscribe. Gonna see in the DNA spread the soul coming into manifestation and the spirit axis in the middle, and the energies balancing around that. Now let's see what in the spot of your soul is waiting for you here. It's self-doubt. Da-da-da-da. However, there are no bad cards in the soul spot, so if your soul decided to address this kind of energy, then it is exactly what I said, taking a look at the wounds you've been carrying. The Nine of Wands is talking about the wounded warrior. It's talking about the things that make us struggle just before the finish line, right? It's taking the last hurdle right here. And if your soul decided it's time to be in a Nine of Wands energy, that means it's taking a good look at yourself and why you're doing what you're doing and why you're not doing some things you're not doing, right? So it's a beautiful energy to get clear on what your own motivations are, why you're doing what you're doing. Let's see how you're manifesting that into your reality. In the spot of the 9, there is your challenge right here. The challenge is the Father of Wands, Father of Cups in reverse. That is someone that is either holding back on their emotions or being oversharing, especially because it's in reverse, you know. So that is, well, that is the challenge, right? Being able to speak them out, right? And addressing those emotions, dealing with your own emotionality, not by repressing it or like overly expressing it, right? So that is the challenge for you. Deal with your emotions in a mature way. You're able to do that, right? You are very much capable of doing that. Usually, though, when it's going very deep into your own character and you're not playing the fixer for someone else, you tend to shut them down, right? Because you can, right? And it's way more comfortable sometimes. This time you feel the urge to address them, to even be proud of them and proud of how you deal with them. So that Father of Cups is nothing to be afraid of. It is more you addressing the way you've been dealing with those wounds in the past, and this is over now. This is like not going to happen the way it happened, and it's going to make you feel real proud of yourself. Now let's see what in the spot for manifestation is. There is a 9 of Swords, but it is in reverse, so you're manifesting getting out of that overthinking, and this overthinking is tied to your wounds, right? So you don't want to feel shitty about it anymore. You don't want to go into that downward spiral that this self-doubt used to inflict on you, right? This time when this feeling comes up, you're not engaging in those thoughts of depression, in those what ifs, or yeah, the arguments surrounding those wounds, like triggering you. You're not engaging in that anymore when that is triggered. Like, you know, when something gets you thinking in the not so cool kind of way, where you usually then you're like, yeah, maybe they're right, maybe like, you know, self-doubt, anxiety, all that stuff. You know, it's, well, it's, you're not going to engage in that anymore. The moment you feel that anxiety, like someone is triggering that anxiety, you'll be like, yeah, but wait a minute, it's not like that anymore. I don't do this anymore. I don't spiral down like that in my mind anymore when it comes to that particular topic. Like, this is nothing that is like, it's not the usual for you, right? This is very particular. This is like a trigger point that you're uncovering that gets you there. Usually you're not the one spiraling too much. No, you're very like, very versatile, not versatile, um, yeah, capable in navigating through those seas of emotions, right? You're a Scorpio, for fuck's sake, like you can manage. This one though, it kind of it kind of tackles the way love was shared in your reality, either not shared or overly shared, right? So, um, or emotions, not exactly love, but yeah, yeah. It often, if it comes down to like early childhood issues, that means how an authority figure in your life expressed their emotions towards you. Probably you had to somehow fight for it. And that's where self doubt comes from, right? If love is not freely given, not unconditional, but very much conditional. So you're thinking you have to do something to gain that love, but then it's never enough. And that's when your mind starts spiraling. You're like, yeah, but what if I did this differently? Or like, what if they're right and I'm like good for nothing? And like, they never said that, right? They just made you feel like it. And those wounds are like, I don't want to impose some stuff on you, right? Where you're like, but that's actually not my problem. And after 10 minutes listening to me, you're like, yeah, that's totally my problem. No, I don't want to impose some shit on you. But it seems like something's coming up where you didn't exactly know that it was there still, or how much it hurt you, or how much um, it determined your actions throughout your life. Mm. And it does not anymore, not the way it used to, but maybe just like acknowledging that can be a sense of pride and can eradicate like the final things, right? It can show you the scars it left, and knowing those will get you further on your path, right? Now let's see how this is motivated. In the spot of the one, there is the Hierophant. So what's getting you going is kind of doing the right thing, right? Um, the Hierophant is a card for like tradition, motivation, mentorship, whatever. So it can be triggered by an authority figure that is making you taking a good look, right? Can be some like YouTube video you stumbled across where you're like, whoa, that dude is right, man. Fuck, I should. Um, but most first and foremost, it is your sense of right and wrong that is triggered somehow, right? And that is getting you going where you're like, you know what? I have to be true to myself, and I have to like uphold my own code. Like if I tell other people to fix their emotional trauma, is there any emotional trauma I got left, right? Am I honest with myself, taking a good look in the mirror here? Like, am I like doing what I preach, right? That is the Hierophant here. Like, practice what you preach. And on the other hand, receiving that energy and kind of balancing it in the spot of the two, there's a Daughter of Cups in reverse. Huh, makes sense. The Daughter of Cups in reverse, that is the water energy that is easily offended, that is like loving, playful, always wanting the good, but it's fragile, right? It's a new beginning in love that wasn't, or a love offering that wasn't exactly answered. And I feel like this is the inner child, right? The wounded inner child that's still waiting for that love offering from the Father of Cups right here. It doesn't have to be daddy issues just at that point, right? Um, but it very much feels like it feels like a love denied that was there, but it wasn't expressed freely, and that's why this little child got hurt and turned to switching those emotions off when they come. Like I said, it's not a big deal in that sense, because Scorpio, this is what you do. You work very carefully and cognitively with emotions. You know what is happening, right? And you're very capable in that. So nothing to worry about. You're just taking a look at that part of yourself where your inner child was wounded, in a sense, where you think you have to control your emotions because, yeah, well, in that particular part of your character, there is a strong memory of them not being rewarded when shown, you know? So let's see what you're gaining from this Hierophant, looking at that wounded little inner child, which can also mean, it also means the conflict that arose, right? That inner child needing to fit into traditional values, right? So being confronted with a value system that you may or may not agree with, you know? So this Hierophant is also like a father figure, right? Or a mentor figure for that matter, right? So trying to please that Hierophant in a sense, you know? Since it is the thing that gets you going, it's both. Like you are asking yourself about what you deem right and wrong and how that changed over time, right? And you're figuring that out, and you get that impulse of thinking about this, what your right and your wrong is, about your moral values, and then you see your inner child, how it was wounded, and you're just thinking to yourself, like, this wasn't right. Yeah, it made me who I am. I do accept it. I can work with this, but it wasn't right. Exactly. You know. So how do you work with this? What do you gain from this energy? And as part of the three, that is the insight you're gaining from this. And it's going to take you further on your path. Nine of Cups in reverse. That is interesting. Nine of Cups in reverse means like, well, you've been dealing with emotions a lot, but not exactly feeling them. Does that make sense? I mean, like, yeah, you've indulged some way. Like, you are, like I said, very capable in dealing with water energy. You are water. You're fixed water, for fuck's sake, right? So you're the essence of that element, right? Like expressing emotions in a mature way and all that stuff. You're very capable in that. So this is at a very high level, fishing for like the yeah, the scars, the just the residue of that early treatment, whatever, right? Of that feedback you got for it. And you're realizing something about your Nine of Cups being in reverse. So, well, didn't exactly make you happy, right? Nine of Cups, the nine and the spot of the three in reverse. Like your happiness is delayed because of what happened, right? So it kind of means that you're, yeah, kind of keeping the options open, whatever you like to indulge, but you realize that you're never truly satisfied, never truly happy. Nothing, like all of those nine cups, they're nice, you taste from them, but they don't feel right. Why doesn't it feel right? Yeah, because it's not what the inner child is still missing from back in the day, right? It's not that unconditional love that it deserves, right? That understanding, right? Because you feel like you're not supposed to be allowed, like you're not allowed to have a bad day. Well, you are allowed to have a bad day, right? And it's not going to cost you any love. People are not going to love you less for having a bad day, and those who do, fuck them, right? And I know you're capable of understanding that, and it's basically like a value you live by. But we're looking very deep into your soul right here, like wounds you carry for a long time, and you realize it's always good, but it's never enough, right? Because that inner child was wounded back in the day, because there was some like, it was shown how to withdraw emotions or like control them, bad word, control emotions. You do not control emotions. You navigate them, right? You do not control the waves. You navigate the ship. So that's exactly what it is about. Like, you cannot switch on and off your emotions. You realize that the emotions are still there. What you can do is switch on and off your receptivity to those emotions, but that is a different thing. It is similar, but you realize there is a difference. You realize every time you switch them off, it is repressing those emotions. And that can come in handy, and you're not going to give it up like that. You're just realizing what you're doing there and realizing, like, being capable more and more to figure out when you want to do it, when it's time to repress those emotions, like, or set them aside to be able to focus. And when you then have to realize, hey, they still there, they need acknowledgement, right? um, so let's see how you're doing this. Surrounding that Father of Cups in your challenge row, that is the thought that gives you stability in the 4, and the thing that causes you friction in the 5. Now let's see. The thought that gives you stability, a sense of home, is that you're very smart about it. Like, you're looking for the truth, always. Like, you're very truthful. You got a lot of clarity about why you feel how you feel, right? However, it is kind of forcing you to look the truth in the eye and see what's left of whatever, like, happened in the past. And I'm not talking about trauma in a big way. For some it might be. I'm, like, very sorry if that's so, right? um my condolences, in a sense, right? But trauma starts with very little things. Like, it can be that waving off a child because you are working, you don't have time for it, right? So imagine you're a child, you're very much in your own world, you're coming with some great achievement, you just, like, build something during play, you build something that was a big achievement for you, but your parents are so in their world that they don't see how big of an achievement it was for you, and they're waving you off. So in your mind is like, what is going to be manifested, going to be manifesting your reality from there on is like, even if you feel it's a big achievement, it might not be enough. It might not be enough to impress. So what do you do with this? You try to build something bigger. Maybe that's going to impress them, right? Not realizing that the category you're working on, like building Legos, for example, is not exactly impressive to them at all, because they weren't able to realize what big deal it was for a child's mind, right? These kind of things we're talking about here, and you're gaining some clarity on that. But rather, the fact that you're, like, the fact you're relying on, the idea that gives you a sense of stability and security, is that whatever truth there is, you'll be able to handle it, because you love the truth, you love going for this. It's like, um, you're an honorable person, right? And you are very clear on emotions, you can navigate them very well, and that is your fallback thought. It's like, whatever it is I uncover, I can manage, right? I've been playing the game for far too long to give up here. That kind of idea, right? What is causing a little friction, what is causing this to erupt for you to learn your lesson? So that friction is a good thing. In the spot of the 5, there's a 3 of Pentacles in reverse. That is something not working out, something not working well together, right? Something already quite physical. It is still in the challenge row, so can be friction within a team or whatever, where then realize, like, you're confronted with emotionality, and you're basically doing the same thing to someone else that someone did to you, and then you're realizing it. It's like, fuck, maybe this was a big deal for them and I just waved them off. And you're breaking that cycle. The moment you're acknowledging something, you're breaking that cycle, right? The moment you acknowledge that. But it is essentially coming from something, like the friction erupts from something not working well together, and or you thinking you have to pull the wagon yourself, right? So if within a team you're pitching in all the work, of course you're not exactly open to what they've accomplished, because like, you see what I'm doing here? Like, for fuck's sake, get off my back with your like little things, you know? Maybe it's a big thing for them. And whether they're right or wrong here doesn't make any difference, right? Because on the meta level is about how you are dealing with the emotion. The idea of being left alone in building something, right? And the idea of cherishing something for or an achievement of someone else for their point from their point of view, right? So for them it might be a big deal. Yeah, then okay, cool. um I'm not saying you have to like pamper them or whatever. It's like, yeah, you're doing good, fine, right? If it's not, well, if it's a child, I'd rather you do, right? Because you never know. It's like they live in their own little world, and that's good, right? So everything to them, to children, everyone, everything is something. Everything is the greatest deal, you know. And we sort of have to find that fascination for life back. You have to get it back somehow, like realizing that like doing the dishes can be the most fascinating thing, that kind of deal, right? However, not to get too lost in the sauce right here, there's something not exactly working out that is giving you that insight about your your safe place, about your the situation where you're coming from, where you feel home is, and that is trying to control those emotions when friction arises, right? And I kind of get the sense that with something not exactly working out, like the feeling of having to work on something alone because someone is not pulling their weight, like getting lost in the work, in a sense, right? um that is what's taking your mind off this emotional energy, and you end up doing exactly what was done to you. So you're gonna realize that. I bet you're gonna realize that. I hope, like, especially when you're watching this, then you're probably gonna see it when it arises. That's what I'm doing it for. I mean, in the manifestation, moving further into manifestation, how is this actually gonna show up in your life? In the spot of the seven, the thing that you are attached to, that you're building your identity around, that is the energy of justice in reverse. Well, yeah, makes sense. Coming from the Three of Pentacles, thinking that the world is essentially unjust and that you have to put in the work and that you cannot count on other people to like do the work for you or with you for that matter, because it's never working out anyway. You're very much in that lone wolf kind of vibe. But with that energy, you're doing exactly what was done to you emotionally to other people. You're taking away of their value. Now, I mean, like if you're in if you're in a team with completely useless people, like they're just bad at their job and whatever, well, that's a pickle, right? Because then you have to put in the work to make it work. You can't project that situation though, because you thought people are useless. If you think all people in the world are useless, you're going to project more and more situations in your life that confirm that, and work with a lot of useless people, having to pull like a ton of weight. And of course, then you're not emotionally available when you're so swamped with this shit, right? The idea you build your life around is that the world is essentially unjust, and well, there is no such thing as balance than like the one you create within. Um, not well, not exactly a narcissistic standpoint, but it is coming from that place where you're like, if I don't care about my emotional well-being, no one will, right? So that is, well, that's essentially how narcissism starts, right? If your emotions are not valued or undervalued at a certain point, then you start validating yourself. You know, that's how narcissism starts and into sociopathism. I'm not saying you're a sociopath. It's not what I'm saying, Scorpio. I love Scorpio energy totally, right? I'm just saying that the thought of having to pull through emotions alone is what's kind of making you lonely. And even though you learn to live with that loneliness and like wearing it as a shield, like the world is unjust, but I managed to live in it, like building your pride around that. You're addressing that. And I can only stress over and over, we're talking about very deep shit here, right? Nothing is wrong with you. You are perfect. You are so perfect that you're at a stage of your journey where you can address wounds like that, right? So don't you forget, that is like a very high level or deep level shit right here, right? So Scorpio, you're gonna manage. Now let's see what in the spot of the 8, the thought is that is giving you abundance. So that is opening you up to learning all this, incorporating all this, and thriving through it. That is the Empress. Like I said, there's your self-worth, all right? There's your intuition, right? And there is growth. There is the feeling of deserving it all, right? That's the divine feminine right here, and the empowered divine feminine. The Empress, that's a very beautiful, beautiful energy, right? And she is self-sufficient, so nothing wrong with that energy. And I kind of feel like mm, it's not your energy alone. Like usually the Emperor and the Empress, they feel like the Querent's energy, like your energy to me. In this, it feels like there's an Empress involved, and it can be the mother. Or like, well, the way that femininity was expressed for you in your life. It's more likely if you're a feminine, like if you're a female watching, that Empress is very much more tied to your self-worth even, especially in terms of your mother, because if it's representing your mother is the first ideal how to be of your same sex, right? So if you are a female watching this, that Empress has a special connotation that is tied to your self-worth, which is ultimately tied to your mother, how she was living that self-worth, right? Maybe you're a father's child and always idealizing them, right? But I guess it's both, right? So you were fighting for affection of the father and learning how to do so from the mother, right? Um, Roles can be reversed. It doesn't exactly have to be a male female. It can be female male, whatever, right? In tarot, it's more about the masculine, the feminine. So the masculine is how someone expresses emotions, right? The masculine water is how emotions are expressed, progressive, outward, right? And the Empress right here is how insight is received, feminine, receptive, right? So that's what it's about. I'm just saying, like, of course, even if you're a male, for example, that Empress is also tied to your self-worth. It's also what kind of love you deserve, like not settling for less. It's speaking of the same things. It's just yeah, well, still you were hustling for attention still, but in a different way. So that's why I'm like, it has a slightly connotation from the female sex, whatever. Not to get lost in this, it is talking about justice in reverse, so the world being essentially a cruel place. Since it's a manifestation, it can mean legal matters, it can mean a dispute, it can mean battling with authority, right? That's why you're so stressed out when things are not working out, or some um, within the project, shares are not evenly distributed, work is not evenly distributed, whatever it is, the thing that, like, the fact that you have to pull a lot of work, or that this is not working out, is not just, it's not fair, right? However, I'm feeling kind of good about this, that it's not fair, because that means you're pulling a lot of work. That is like a sign for your capability on what you can build, right? How high your Legos can get. So yeah, the idea that it's essentially challenge and you have to work for recognition, it made you good at what you do. But now you're so good at what you do, you can let loose of the motivation a little, of that kind of motivation, right? And return to that self-worth that is truly unconditional, where you're like, justice or injustice, whatever the fuck ever, I do love myself, right? And I don't have to hustle for anyone's attention, right? And if I want to take a week off, I take a fucking week off, you know? Like allowing yourself to take some time for yourself, to take some room, space, whatever, without having to perform for it, right? That is that Empress. That is what this Empress is talking about. It's like, I don't have to perform. I perform well. I don't have to even doubt that, you know, right? And you're growing through that so much. And this justice, this balance, this karmic balance is going to be restored. But like I said, since it's in the manifestation role, it can actually mean having a dispute, right? Some legal matter, something being like distributed unfairly, right? Um, and it's all happening. So you're coming into that Empress where you realize, wait a minute, I deserve better than that, you know, and that is a good thing. So it's triggering you into that insight. Why this wasn't working out? What exactly went wrong here? Yeah, because there was emotions withheld that should have been shared, right? Because actually, you know, sharing emotions is the right thing to do. And then you remember when this wasn't exactly happening to you, like when tables were turned and you were denied emotions or like denied the space for them, right? So this is not exactly like life is not exactly playful for you, or maybe it became playful again and now you're strong enough to take a look at why it wasn't before, right? So there's something in your reality that is that you find totally fucking unfair, right? And then it makes you realize something about why you were projecting this, why you think it like why you think life is essentially unfair. And you're realizing, ah, shit, I kind of got myself into this position because I always want to like outsmart someone. I kind of need useless people in my team so I can prove myself, like so I can be better, you know, and build higher. And like I get a strong sense of competition in here. And now you letting go of that competition, realizing actually I don't have to prove shit. I am awesome, right? So this is you getting out of your head about stuff, right? But for this Nine of Swords to be in reverse and to get out of it, yeah, there's something you're projecting that you find unfair, and it's quite like it's dealing with rules. It is coming from that Hierophant, right? The Hierophant into the Three of Pentacles in reverse, into the Justice. So the Hierophant has both, right? It is like tradition, it's rule system that is that is distributing unfairly. It's not working out because this fucking system is rigged, right? And you're like, man, this is not good. This is like, I don't want to deal with this anymore, you know. And that's when you kind of get out your head about it. um so whatever it is that is happening in your life right now that's confronting you with authority or justice, like very like literally legal matters, can be it. It does make a shitload of sense. It is all somehow tied to performance. Like this can also mean meeting your sales goals, for example, right? All these things you have to fulfill, you have to think about, for other people because they're not thinking about it, whatever, you know. You're getting out of that. You're still kind of struggling with it, but you're getting out of it because when some shit is hitting the fan or it's gonna hit the fan where you're like, you know what? Now it doesn't fucking matter anymore. And I'm not gonna be impaired by this. I am the Empress. Fuck that. You know? So I'm not projecting any bullshit into your reality. I'm rather saying there's going to be a point where you realize that this is sort of like how you've been benefiting from injustice in a weird way because you need challenge to feel better about yourself. And then you ask yourself the question, do I want that challenge? Now let's see in the spot of the six what you're realizing from the Empress and the justice playing out. So something being unfair and the Empress demanding her share. Um, so let's see. In the spot of the six, that's the epiphany you get. That's what's moving you forward. Yeah, there you go. That is the Ten of Swords, right? The Ten of Swords is the end of worry. It's the pinnacle of worry, and by that, the end of worry. You're manifesting coming out of a Nine of Swords, right? Where you're like, boy, this is exhausting. I don't want to I don't, all these thoughts in my head, all these things I need to think about. Half of them are not my own shit. Like, what the fuck am I doing this for? I'm the fucking Empress. Do I really have to do this? And then you're moving into that Ten of Pentacles where you're like, actually, it's too much. I cannot. And I don't want it anymore. You know, and I don't have to. I don't have to think about all of this. Not at the same time, whatever. And you're realizing you don't need the Ten of Swords. All you need is that Ace of Swords, is that clarity about how you gain your playfulness back, why you're so competitive, right? Or if you don't feel like you're competitive, why you think you have to prove yourself or hustle for emotional availability, right? Or even if you're so far down the road that you're not emotionally available at all, can also be, then you probably should take a look at yourself like that. Because it's good being emotionally available, right? To be fair, there's not a single Scorpio I know that is not emotionally available at some point. They're all going deep with me. I'm a Cancer though, so I have a special magic when it comes to being like making people emotionally available because I confront them until they can't hide anymore. However, I do love Scorpios. They are always very sensitive, caring, right? Even though sometimes they can have a bad rap. Um, because of the moodiness. And that's what I mean with switching on and off. Like to someone who can switch their emotions on and off, that can seem cruel. Where you're just like, okay, now is not the time for this. I need to focus on work. I got a lot of shit to worry about. Can't you see? You know? Um, no, they can't. They can't. They're in the fields, right? And they can't see that you got a lot of shit to do. And if they see what you got to do and they don't understand it, they think, what? And my emotions are worth shit to you, right? Why? Why can't I? How the fuck can my sorrow be not important enough for you to switch on your Empress mode? Your insightful, caring side, right? Because the Empress is also nurturing. It's the mother, right? So this can be it. Like some shit hitting the fan, something being unfair, especially in the way the work is distributed, that makes you realize actually you want, like, deeply, 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 you want the work to be distributed unfairly, so you don't think that you've been treated unfairly. You can think or rest in the thought that the world is what it is and you're beating the game, right? And yeah, well, sort of. Um, it makes you ultra productive for yourself. It doesn't make the team more productive, really. Not exactly. Um, but yeah, this is where you're coming from, Scorpio, and that is like I cannot stress enough. This is on a very high level. You're a beautiful individual. You got a strong sense and like a mature way of dealing with emotions. This is really just addressing like your ideas of performance because they're tied to how love was offered in your reality, right? Like affection, right? just affection, admiration, praise, right? You're hustling for it. You're still hustling for it. And that's good because that makes you very successful, though there is no pentacles, but without, except the three of pentacles here. Like, the success is not coming into question. Here in question is only why you do it and why you're stressing out about it so much, right? And what this experience wants you to gain from this is take away from that stress, right? Is to care for those wounds, to realize you don't have to stress out about them anymore, and to align the Empress and the Hierophant, like the inner knowing on the feminine and the masculine side. So the rules you live by have to match the rules, or the rules you impose have to match the rules you live by, in a sense. Does that make sense? Right? So this is the practice what you preach. What you is a categorical imperative, right? So how you want to be treated, that's your moral system, how you want others to be, you know, and how you have to be yourself to others. So bringing that in alignment by realizing it all has to do that your inner child wasn't treated fairly in the past, because there's a way of dealing with emotions that is unhealthy, and it is probably, my best guess is, repressing it, because that father figure in reverse, a father of cups in reverse, is often the one that is repressing the emotions, right? Because, like, yeah, well, it's a progressive form of dealing with those emotions. Either you control them, right? Control, very, very masculine, right? Using force to get something in form, you know, or you splurt them out and lash out. But that's more like a wandy energy, a fiery energy, to lash out like that, right? Well, like in a Cancer reading, a Father of Cups in reverse for me is more like crying all the time, and just like, just have to tell you that, you know, this is like not sitting right with me. Fair. I'm a Cancer, I can make those jokes. But with this, and especially with the Scorpio that is so often so composed, not exactly unavailable, just composed and controlling, that Father of Cups in reverse as the centerpiece of this reading is probably the idea of having to control emotions, which ultimately leads to repressing them, right? And there's something that is going to come to light, why you feel it's never enough, why you feel you always have to perform and you always have to outperform, why you think that the world is essentially unjust and you have to overcome this ambition to perform is coming into question a little, because it's stressing you out, but in a good way, because it's essentially Aries energy that is, yeah, Aries. I mean, it is a god of war, right? Now, it is for confrontation, but also it makes you ready for confrontation, right? That fire energy is like, you know what? I've been wounded. So what? Right? And it hurt me deeply, right? And I can be vulnerable and strong about it, right? That is when Aries meets Chiron, be like, I can be vulnerable and strong about it at the same time. Look at me, how strong I am being vulnerable, you know? So that can have that effect. You're definitely playing this on a very high level, and you're a beautiful, beautiful energy. I love that very much. You've given me as a Cancer a lot throughout my life. Scorpios have helped me a lot sort out my feelings, right? Exactly by this kind of energy, right? Exactly with this. Yeah, nice that you feel like this and all, but why? You know, what good does it do? Exactly this kind of questioning that has helped me a lot. It sometimes hurt me, but it's most of the time it really helped me to get me sorted. So when I'm saying this, all of this, I don't mean no harm. I don't mean to un- like give you any wounds that are not there, that weren't there before. This is really clearing out residue, right? Asking yourself why you perform the way you perform, and to set your attention right, right? Maybe there's even a reconciliation. That's an idea I had with the mother. Like if the Empress right here might be your mother, that is coming back on the scene, and you have like a talk or whatever. Could be. I see the Empress very much as your own energy. You somehow inherited that from someone in your life, but I see it very much as your own energy. Enough of that. You are in a very, very, very mature growth period right here, that is like clearing out some final bullshit. You're getting out of your head about stuff, feeling into your self-worth and how you've been dealing with those challenges, how you not want to be that what has happened to you. Like that is a strong game. Like really, Scorpio, this is beautiful, beautiful energy you're in right now. You're going to feel very good about it. I feel, because it is so subtle, even if you go deep and it's coming up, it's not going to feel like, maybe overwhelming for a second. Maybe when it's coming through, you're like, you realize what is happening, but it's not gonna like fuck you up and stay with you. As a matter of fact, it's healing something that kind of fucked you up in the past. So don't be alarmed. It's all gonna be fine. You're in the perfect energy to deal with this, right? You've got the Hierophant right here and the Empress. The Justice in reverse, but in a good place. Like these are beautiful energies. You're on the high road, and don't worry, it's all going to be fine. You're going to realize a lot, and after this, you're not going to stress out so much anymore. You're healing those wounds, or like looking at those scars, right? And you're a beautiful person. Like you're done healing. Basically, this just happens. It's just going to happen, and it's going to feel better afterwards, right? Even better than you do already, right? Scorpio, if that resonated with you, drop a comment, like and subscribe. Check out daywalkermanusbali.com, daywalkermanusbali.shop. That's my newest project. Sign up for the newsletter. It's gonna be amazing. It's gonna take some time, but it's gonna be amazing. I'm gonna let you know when the site is up live. And yeah, enjoy this energy. Enjoy how far you've come. Enjoy what your thirst for performing has brought you in life, how far it's gotten you, right? When taking a look at this bullshit, don't forget what it brought you, like how you benefited from it. And that's gonna always put it into perspective, right? It's just time. It's just time to go even deeper. You're strong enough now, right? You made it work. You're strong enough now. So enjoy this one. It's gonna be amazing. Thank you, Scorpio. I love you.